How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we're going to talk about this new bill that has now become law in New York, signed by Andrew Cuomo, that relates to late-term abortions and many more things. I've seen this reported in many different ways. People are saying that this bill will allow all women to have late-term abortions up until 8-9 months. Some are not giving you all the information about this bill. I'm here to give you the actual information about late-term abortions and other things that are in this bill that have not really been reported by the mainstream media. First things first, late-term abortions. The bill says this is only for women who have their life in danger as a result of their pregnancy. It's not just for any woman to have a late-term abortion. And this law replaces the previous law that said that if your life was in danger, you can have an abortion up to 24 weeks, which is 6 months of pregnancy, which is still pretty far along. I mean, you're talking about what, second trimester? I mean, you can have a baby that's born at 5 or 6 months and be fine. That's premature, yes, but they should be able to have a decent life depending upon the kind of care they have and depending upon their actual state while they're in gestation. But to get to late-term abortions, it's only for women who have health problems and whose life may be at risk. Now, my question would be, what constitutes a woman's life being at risk? Is it when the doctor says, if you do not have an abortion, you will die, something dire like that? Or can it be just a pre-existing condition that may cause complications? Like, what actually constitutes a woman's life being in danger? This is why a lot of us on the right are against something like this. Obviously, we're all against abortion. Most of us are against abortion anyway, but definitely late-term abortion in this sense because it's going to lead to more late-term abortions. What's going to prevent people from changing their mind later in the pregnancy? Like if the person that they're with, they break up, relationship goes sour, and then they say, you know what, I don't want to have a kid anymore. I have fibroids. I have some kind of autoimmune disorder. So my life is in danger. I'm going to claim that, convince my doctor to tell whoever needs to be told that I need an abortion and then go get one. You know, I think this law may be abused. Also, there's much more to this particular law. The codes that relate to abortion as far as law were moved from the penal section of law code to the health section. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so if any of you guys know about that in particular, please let me know in the comments below. But a lot of Republicans were against that in New York because they're saying this would reduce the ability to prosecute somebody that harmed a pregnant woman if they were to have something happen to their baby, if the baby was miscarried or whatever the case may be. Democrats disputed that, but it seems like that does make sense. If you take away the abortion or some of the laws relating to it from the penal to the health, then how does that really work when a pregnant woman is harmed? I mean, we've seen it happen before. I mean, the infamous example was Ray Caruth, where this football player decided he did not want to have a child with this woman, and it was this intricate plot to run her off the road or something crazy. Anyway, I think the child's mother ended up dying as a result, but the child was born, although permanently disabled. What if the child was born, or what if the child died and then the mother lived? How does that really work? If you take away the law from the penal section of code to the health, how does that really go about? What do you do to prosecute that person? You know, I don't really know, but for now, I digress. This law was passed, according to Cuomo and people up there in New York, as a way to protect Roe v. Wade, because in their mind, they're thinking Roe v. Wade may be on the way out, which it should be, because as you know, Roe v. Wade in 1973 made abortion, for the most part, under most circumstances, legal on a federal level. If Roe v. Wade was not there, then it would be up to the states to determine what they're going to do with their abortion. Therefore, the things that are found in Roe v. Wade are found in this bill and enhanced for New York specifically. So if Roe v. Wade goes away, nothing changes with abortion in New York. Now, some things should change because, well, over the past couple of years, we've had like 250,000 abortions, and it's almost the equivalent number of live births, except for if you're a black woman. Matter of fact, I have some stats right here. Let me see if I can pull them up. Okay, between 2012 and 2016, black mothers terminated 136,426 pregnancies and gave birth to 118,127 babies. Now, I'm not Albert Einstein. I'm not a mathematician, but that's a margin of about 18,000 babies. So to put it in layman's terms, in a 4-year time span, black women in New York State, not just the city, but in New York State, terminated 18,000 more babies than were actually born. As far as them, just black women, 18,000 more abortions. That's crazy. Black women consist of 36% of all abortions in New York, despite only being about 15% of New York's population. We're about 13% of the total U.S. population, but about 15 to 16% of New York State's population and about 25% of New York City. So we're talking about more than double our population in the state of New York we represent in abortions. But yet I'm told that I'm somehow an Uncle Tom, a coon, a sellout for not wanting to vote for the Democrats. But the Democrats are giving you extermination, genocide, wiping you totally away, and then replacing you with illegal immigrants. I mean, it's pretty clear to see. If they don't kill you, they just say, okay, here's some government benefits, live on that. It's really ridiculous. This law just entrenches that for New York if Roe v. Wade was to go away. I'm glad I live down here in the South. I'm pretty sure that if abortion were to go to a vote, it'd get voted out here in Tennessee. It'd get voted out in many southern states, Texas, a lot of places where you really can't get abortions like that. It'd be voted out. And I'm glad for that. Personally, I'm against abortion totally. If you ask a lot of pro-abortion, anti-life people, yes, I said pro-abortion, anti-life because they say that we are anti-abortion. Why can't I say that they are anti-life? You know, and to pause for a moment, this whole thing with Ben Shapiro, where he went to the March for Life in D.C., which is where the Covington Catholic high school kids were as well. He went there and gave a speech and lost some sponsors as a result of his speech because of his whole take on so-called baby Hitler. He said that he would not have aborted baby Hitler because baby Hitler was a baby. I mean, he wasn't anything before he became what he was. As a result of that, people got outraged. But it's like, wait a minute. If the argument is that life does not begin really, because in their mind, they say life does not begin until birth, then how would you know anything about what this so-called clump of cells would become until they were born and raised? Before they're born, they're nothing, right? So, I mean, how can you say you would abort something that's nothing? It doesn't make any sense. But see, what most pro-abortion, anti-life people think is that you should be able to kill a baby up until the time it's born because it doesn't really count because that's the law and it's not really a big deal. They don't really believe that the baby is not a baby. They don't really believe that it doesn't have a heartbeat. It doesn't have head, limbs, organs, all that kind of stuff. Life begins at conception. That's the truth. Anybody you talk to, when you ask that question, when does life begin? They get to stuttering and stammering because they can't really answer it truthfully and come across as a legitimate human being. That is the reality of the whole situation. What they want to say is that life begins at conception, but kill the baby up until 9 months gestation. That's what they want to say. Because if they didn't believe that, then the whole thing about baby Hitler wouldn't have even been nothing. Because what are you really killing if it's not anything, if it's not a human being yet? What are we talking about? So I'll just leave that right there. This is unfortunate for New York State. And I hope that abortion at some point in the future becomes outlawed. That'll be my ultimate wish, my ultimate goal. But for right now, I would take at least Roe v. Wade being removed. That would not outlaw abortion. All it would do is send abortion arguments back to the states, and then they make their own laws up, which is why New York did this, and in anticipation of Roe v. Wade being repealed, which it should be. And hopefully there's a law that's passed nationally to outlaw abortion. This whole thing about, oh, well, it's going to be a lot of back alley abortions, is that, and the third, there are still back alley abortions right now today. That didn't really stop it. All that Roe v. Wade did was increase the number of legitimate, so-called legitimate abortions. That's all that it really did. Okay. And this whole thing about life with the mother and incest and rape, they account for less than 1% of all abortions. And if I can find the article from New York Times that got published back in the day about this, I'll link to that in the box below. The overwhelming majority of abortions are due to convenience, a young mother, a businesswoman, or something like that, not wanting to have the child. Okay, that's pretty much all that there is to it. But what do you think? Do you think that it was a good thing that New York did this as far as their abortion laws are concerned? How do you feel about a baby being aborted at 8 or 9 months, regardless what the situation is, life with a mother or whatever? How do you really feel about that? Do you think this will be abused in any kind of way? When you're talking about harming pregnant women, when you're talking about women that have disorders that may impact their life, but it's not necessarily a guaranteed thing that it will. They're going to try to claim that it will to get a late-term abortion when they change their mind, when they get scared, when they get nervous. Do you think I'm right in general with this whole situation? This is not right. This is not a good thing. It's just really immoral. And the whole thing with, so-called minorities being helped by this, I can't really tell. How are you going to have 15.9% of the state's population, but 36% of all abortions? You're talking about more than double the population in abortion. How does that help the so-called minority woman? Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.